Good afternoon. The time is 12:03. What's up, y'all? This is Kenitra Moselle. You are on the YouTube channel. We are live, and I have a very, 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 very special guest who you see on the screen. So let's take a moment and let's check and make sure that everything is up, is live. We can see it. Share, because we're going to have a really great discussion today. I'm excited because I just have gotten the habit of telling my business, right? And so Heather knows my business. So Heather can guide this conversation. Make sure that it serves, everyone. So this is going to be a good chat. You see the topic of this video is mental health and grief. And so, I just did not have the amount of respect I needed to have for mental health as a journey for people until my husband passed in October of 2021. And so part of my wellness journey, which has to do with how well you are mentally, was peaked when my husband passed away, and I had to face who I was. And facing yourself in the midst of, that type of transition, and while you're changing, it's hard to do because you got to realize who you used to be, who you are in this moment, and where you need to push towards. So, hey, Heather.
Hi, how you doing?
Wonderful. You look so beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You do too. You do too.
So tell the people your background and what you're passionate about, because you got lots of years of experience, and then I'll kind of pull us back over to how we came together.
Yeah. So first, thank you so much for this invitation. It means a lot to me to be able to share on any topics pertaining to mental health. It's always a treat to collaborate with you. So I'm just glad to be here today. So thank you for that. So my name is Heather Armstrong. I am a clinical social worker. I do a lot of things pertaining to social work, mental health. I do have a main job where I work with our veterans, but I also am in business as a clinical therapist. I do individual and couples therapy. And I have done a lot of therapy pertaining to grief and loss. So that's a little bit of my background. Yeah, so that's pretty much me in a nutshell. So you want to take it away with our story, Kenitra?
So see, what had happened was, like, Heather existed, and I didn't really know Heather existed. Like, we crossed paths, in our professional setting, but we never actually worked together. Mm-hmm. So we knew of each other, but it was literally in passing. And so my best friend, y'all know Carla, everybody knows Carla, my best friend, has been with me here in Atlanta. She was here before Gerald passed, but after Gerald passed, it was something that God really laid on her heart, was to stay, because there were some things that we needed to grow and mature in, and we needed each other's support so that we both could become. And so she was like, you need to get a therapist, and we're not talking again until so-and-so. And I was like, okay. So
you need that person.
You know what? But legitimately, I'm so glad that she gave it that much of energy, because I won't say I have never, but even in the past year while Gerald was still living, I wanted to do therapy, because I'm like, we got stuff to talk about. Because when you have two people coming together from two different worlds, we don't realize the parts of us that are dysfunctional, because that's all you have known. So you don't know it's not normal.
Right.
So I was like, I appreciate her push. And I knew I was going to need therapy, because I have been the strong friend. And so it would be completely naive of me to go through, a traumatic transition as this. Your husband dying unexpectedly, you're thinking it's a regular day. We're going to the hospital, we're coming back home, right? Whatever. And it didn't happen that way. So I knew that I needed to get counseling. I knew I needed to talk through it, because the potential of what I could turn into if I didn't get help, I was just aware of that. Mm-hmm. So, hit up Heather, highly recommend it. Didn't even realize that we were, in proximity to one another that way. So we got on the phone and started talking. She was like, whatever you need, I got you. How often do you want to talk? And she just kind of, one of the things I appreciate about you, Heather, was you kind of just, you let me kind of lead a little bit. Like, you just kind of gave me the leeway to figure out what I would like to do. And so whatever it was I was ready to commit to was what the commitment was.
And that's most important because, we as therapists, it's not our process. We're not in charge of, we're not the gatekeepers, we don't, set the groundwork for it. It's only going to be an effective therapeutic process if you, the person coming for the support and help, lays the groundwork for it. Now, of course, we have a part in that. I mean, if you are asking for something inappropriate or something that is not going to be meaningful to the process, of course, it's our responsibility to guide you in the right way. But yes, that's how I approach all my clients. You have to be in charge of what it is that you want, and you do somewhat have to take the lead and bring to the table whatever you're wanting to discuss and process at that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So tell me this, when, as a professional, when do you place your pivots? Because you can't force somebody to do something, but like, okay, she being unrealistic with her expectations, but she not ready to deal with like how do you identify the good point to pivot?
The good points of pivot. That's a touchy question. We I don't know. It's something I can always tell, because like I said, you all are the ones that kind of guide and kind of guide the session where it needs to go. But I also have a sense of, now I know she said she came here for this, but see, we're trying to broach that topic, but she kind of backpedaling a little bit. So I can feel it. And even though I feel it and I may know it, I can't force you down that road. I'm going to do everything that I can to very gently and appropriately, kind of guide you in that direction. But if it is that we're there and you're not ready, it's not going to be appropriate to move in that direction, because that might cause more harm than good. And of course, in our profession, the main thing is do no harm. We certainly wouldn't want to take you down the road that you're not ready for, and you leave session and things just go haywire because you weren't ready to deal with it. Yeah. I'm mindful about that, and I will continue to maybe try to put that topic kind of in your path at several different times. And I very well may come out and say, hey, this seems like a touchy topic. We need to address it. But if you're not ready, that's okay. So I want to plant that seed. Yeah. But yes, I certainly wouldn't take somebody down the road they're not ready for. I just help them to acknowledge that it's there and they need to deal with it at some point. And I let it go. A lot of times people will swing back around. Sometimes they don't. And that's up to them.
That's good. So I appreciate the fact that you worded it that way, because it seems like a lot of people are apprehensive about going to therapy or having a counselor because it comes across like they feel like they're out of control. Like they gonna come in and I don't want to sit on this person's couch and they can't talk to me about my life and so on and so forth. And it's just a lot of misconceptions about going to therapy. Some people may have had some bad experiences with people in the profession who have not managed situations well. So there can be, trauma. There can be some trauma as it relates to your first experience with a therapist. And
that's very true. I've heard several things like that too. That's unfortunate. But I mean, if you're really true and real about wanting your healing, you wouldn't stop there. You don't go, if you have a hurt somewhere, you don't go to one doctor and, they dismiss your hurt or whatever. And you say, oh, you know what? I'm good. I just stay over here hurt. My arm don't work, but we'll just keep it moving,
Right now.
You wouldn't do that. You would go to the next doctor and you go to the next specialist or whatever you need to do. Same thing with mental health. I mean, I know it's not fun to think that you might therapist hop or counselor hop. Nobody wants to do that because that's a huge waste of time and it's frustrating and all. But if you're really serious about getting the things that you need, you won't give up. You'll continue to try, you'll press, and you'll be led to the right person that can help you.
Yeah, like so for anyone, hey, I see it's 5 people watching us live. Thank y'all for joining us. I see y'all. Lady J, Jamaica in the building. What's up, sis? I appreciate y'all. Feel free to type some in the comments. I can see them. Y'all are over here, we over here, but it's all good. If y'all have a question or something, feel free to share it, and we'll pull it into the discussion. what was I gonna say? I was about to say something about bringing it back around, like full circle, like the therapist hopping or shopping type of thing. It's kind of like I went to the store and I bought these jeans and they didn't fit right, so I'm gonna take them back and I'm gonna try another one. Like one of the first things that was introduced to me, because I spoke to another therapist, and you know, she was cool, but I didn't feel like she fit for me, or maybe at the time where that dialogue was going, I didn't want to talk about that, because there's a whole lot of dynamics that I have had going on that people have no idea about. Right. Lots of different things that are being managed, and so, you know, people can make recommendations to you based on what they know, but only you really know, you know, y'all really know all the dynamics to who you are as a human being and the things that really need to be addressed. So you may not find the right person on the right go around, but like, you know, Heather just said, you don't stop there. And it's not that the therapist is a bad therapist. Hey, Leah, I see you Jersey in the building. It's not that the therapist is a bad therapist. They're just not a match for you. Like, I'm not for everybody. Heather's not for everybody. I talk about, I'm real loud, and then I might be quiet. I'm not for everybody. So that same dynamic exists when you are finding people to meet a particular need. If you don't do McDonald's, you don't do McDonald's. I'm Chick-fil-A all day, period, point blank. What is the big difference? You choose what works for you, and then you invest into that particular place. And it's a good investment in yourself.
I'm glad you said that, because I was gonna certainly say too that just because you and the therapist don't click, that doesn't mean that they're incompetent, you know. And I just kind of want to highlight that point, because that's exactly what I was gonna say too.
That's the perfect segue. Leah is in the comments. She said that she just asked a question, and it's really a statement, sis. She said, can certain therapists be for certain seasons?
Very
I
true.
absolutely feel like that.
Very, very true.
And I'll say this, like, so Heather has been my therapist as it relates to the grief journey and encouraging me. It's been self-discovery, because I have just been unaware of who I am, like, because I'm so busy and I'm working and I'm serving and I'm building. Sis, are you working and you serving and are you building yourself? You know, she didn't say it to me like that. That's just me. That's Kenetra's.
I hope I did.
No, you didn't. Not at all. Not at all, right? But now what I'm realizing is I need another type of therapist. Like, Heather, you have got me to a wonderful place. Like, I'm so much, but shout out to Carla. Y'all know I shout Carla out. I got 2 therapists. I was like, she worried about herself, but no, she's worried about me. And so, you know, the 2 of you guys coming together, really has helped me a lot. And now I know that there are other things about life and, you know, your home and your upbringing. And I'm talking about, when I tell you I have had a beautiful life, like, if we were to play that comparison game next to some other people's journeys, if we were to do that, I would have absolutely nothing to complain about. Literally. I have what we would consider a perfect case scenario. Two parent happy home. You got the brother, you got the boy and the girl. I'm talking about perfect scenario, but there are still things that I have learned that can be dysfunctional depending on what your environment is. And my environment has been my environment. When you put all these different things together, you get different scenarios. So I know that there's a different level of work that has to be done. So I'm really excited about it. I don't, you know, I'll take some time to start, you know, digging again, and we'll see. But Heather, I'm graduating.
I'm glad. That's what it's all about. That's exactly what it's all about. And the next experience, it'll be very different too. I do want to clarify though, you know, in ours was not like an official full blown. You remember how we talked about it in the very beginning, because we worked together. It wasn't like a full blown official therapeutic process. Ours was kind of like we said a little earlier, like a grief huddle. Those came together very, very nicely. And, you know, we settled on what day of the week, and that changed sometimes. And sometimes we did text rather than talking because our schedules and whatever was allowed. You know, so it was official, but unofficial. There wasn't ever like a treatment plan drawn out or, you know, anything like that because of the relationship we had from work. But I'm just glad that we were able to come together and accomplish what we did accomplish, because you grew. I certainly saw that. And so did I. just based on our exchanges. So I was glad that we were able to come together and do that. And that's what therapy is all about too, the graduation of it. You know, I tell my clients all the time, it's not that, you're going to be sitting on the couch talking about these same issues for 10 years.
Right.
If that's the case, and you're not moving forward, that's a problem. And I take full responsibility for that, because I should be moving you to a certain point. Well, I say I take responsibility, but it's also some responsibility on the client too. Just like I'm coming to session and bringing work, you have to leave session and do work and bring work to session. So it wouldn't be my full responsibility if the client didn't make progress, but I should see some kind of steps towards some type of resolve. And if I don't, it has come to a point where I've had to refer people, because, it's more like talk therapy, and my practice is very solutions based. Mm-hmm. So if we are not getting to a solution, that certainly is a problem. So yeah, I really feel good when clients have met all of their treatment goals and can graduate. Some people graduate on to another therapist to do some other work like you. Some people graduate on and move to the point to where they don't need those maintenance sessions. Because I do like maintenance sections. We get to a point to where we only meet maybe once a month. Once you do once a month for a while, you graduate back into a new norm. So that's an accomplishment, So it looks different for everybody, but that's what it's all about. So I'm very proud of the work that you've accomplished and the work that you've done. So that's good.
That's me being loud. So one of the questions came up, and I think we kind of answered it. So Leah, let me know if we good. The question was, what's the difference between a grief therapist and a grief coach? And she said, grief huddles. That sounds interesting.
Grief huddles are interesting, aren't they?
Right. It's like, I feel like it was just kind of like support. Like you just explained, we didn't have a traditional treatment plan and everything, but being able to talk with somebody who is a safe place. Mm-hmm. Who is sound, because you are a professional, you are trained, you are educated, people pay you for this, like period, point blank. However, well, the point is, like I think with us doing the huddles, and huddles is like I say it at work all the time, favorite word. I think that's super important, because you need to have intentional conversations about certain things, because we will dance around stuff all day long,
and it's very pointed too in huddles. It's very pointed in huddles. It's not just a wide open, session where we could talk about this area, that area, no, our grief huddles, that's what we pretty much honed in on weekly. So they were very pointed.
Yeah, that was good. And Jamaica is asking if there's a difference between a faith-based or non-faith-based therapist. Any recommendations on that?
Well, yeah, there's a difference. The difference is, when it comes to faith-based type counseling, that type of counseling is sitting around a specific faith. Now, and when it comes to non-faith-based, not to say that when it comes to, let me put it like this: if you're specifically seeking out faith-based, most of your interactions will be centered around your issue as it pertains to your faith, and incorporating your faith along the entire process. Now, that does not necessarily mean that if you go to, a counselor that's not faith-based, that doesn't mean that you won't broach the topic of religion. I don't consider myself a faith-based therapist, but I do have faith. And if I know that my client have faith, sometimes I do draw that in. If I know that's something that helps them, we'll draw on that, and I'll use that as a tool to help them with their issue. But that doesn't mean that all of our sessions are centered around faith, but it can be used with the non-faith-based therapist. It just depends on what you want and what you need. That'll kind of give you the idea of what you need to seek. So I hope that answered your question.
That's good. Ooh. I feel a pivot coming. I feel a pivot. Good. That's a really good question. She said that's good. Let's also remember this. I think, okay, so we are believers. I'm a believer. Father, Son, Holy Ghost. I believe in Jesus. We're people of faith, 100%. However, we have to be careful not to be religious when it comes to our wellness. Because when we are religious, we want things to be delivered to us only in a particular setting along a specific path from a specific person with a specific title. And that is dangerous because you limit the amount of help that you can get or receive.
Very true. Very, very true.
People can only give you what they have the capacity for or what their experiences have been, if they even want to be transparent about their experience, if they have even healed from their part of their journey. So you can get a therapist who ain't a faith-based therapist, but got the Holy Ghost and will help get you through some stuff. But they don't have to market themselves. It's a marketplace. Y'all know we talk about marketplace ministry. So being a therapist and in counseling, that is a marketplace where people need to be served. And as believers, we should be in a marketplace as well. So,
but also I want to say too, you have to be careful if it is that you're going towards faith-based therapy too. You have to really be careful and know people's credentials when it comes to that as well. Because just because somebody, is religious or may preach or teach and all those different things, that's wonderful, that's beautiful. But at the same time, if they don't have those credentials for counseling, that makes a difference as well. Not to say they can't help you, because I certainly believe they can. But, when you go through the training and educational process to be a counselor therapist, it's a little more than just knowing the word, if that makes sense. So that's why I caution you to do your due diligence when it is that you're looking for somebody to serve you. Make sure they have the credentials for what you're looking for.
That's good. So somebody asked a question. Shout out to my family. I see y'all in the comments. Hey, y'all. How do you know you need a therapist? Because sometimes we good. We good out here, honey.
No, we're not. We're not. Let me just go ahead and shut that down. I was going to try to be nice, but no, we're not good. We're not good. Somebody tell you that, they're not good. We're not good. We know when we're not good. We know. When we're sitting there with this mask on, perpetrating this facade in a place, but not really present, just going through the motions of life, telling people, yeah, I'm good. No. And we have to be smart enough and care enough about ourselves to stop the line. Kenitra, I know you know that word, stop the line.
Yeah, right here.
We have to stop the line on ourselves. We might be functioning and highly producing. Our numbers might be great, and our kids might be, AB honor roll and dressed to the T, and everything on the outside might look good. But if you have this beautiful picture, but it's gray on the inside of you, you need therapists. Yeah. You need one. You just have to be smart enough and care enough to stop long enough to acknowledge that. I think that's the first step, to acknowledge it. It's hard to acknowledge it. It was for me.
Yeah.
I didn't want to think that, because I was a social worker, I'm mental health. How have I read all these books and, serve people like I said? How could I need a therapist? How does that even make sense? So for me to even stop long enough and say, dang, I need help, it was hard. So, for somebody outside of mental health, I know it's very, very hard. Nobody wants to acknowledge that they need help. Mm-hmm. But we know.
And we all need help. Like, there's this stigma that if you need help, you're weak. Mm-hmm. That is so far from the truth. It takes a bigger, better, brighter, wiser person to acknowledge the fact that you need assistance. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I'm still there. Asking for help? Who? Mm-hmm. What? Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. In the comments, they having fun with this. I'm good in these comments. So
they're not good.
Queen,
they're not good.
Queen, I'm gonna tell y'all a story. Oh God,
I do it too though. Let me just stop real quick. I do that too. I'm guilty of that too. Somebody asked me, Heather, how you doing? Oh, I'm good. We all guilty of it. I probably said that today when you asked me before we got on, Kenitra. I probably told you I was good.
Yeah, yeah,
my shoulder situation. I'm not good. But so it's almost like a habit for us. Especially we people that are like goers, we high producers, we want people to think that, we want to put that good facade up that we're good so we can help other people be good, because that's what we do.
Yeah.
But you're very ineffective if you're truly not good and you go out there and try to help people. Just think about how much better how much more effective you could be if you were whole and well.
Yeah. Ooh.
If you were whole and well, do you know how much more you could do for folk?
Yes. Oh my
So
gosh.
anyway, I wanted to stop there and say that,
I
I'm
love
laughing
that
and
you
joking with
said
y'all,
that,
but
because I feel like that's where I am, because I
okay.
love people. I love people so much.
I
I
know.
like hearing from people and sharing what other people are doing. And it's kind of like, I guess I kind of got to a point where it's like, you want to help everybody, you want to care for everybody, but you can't do so much if you not whole, if you're not well. And if you still like genuinely want to help people the way you want to help them, if you want to tell people your story, you're gonna have to go through the process.
You're gonna have to be well.
And a part of the push through is feeling all the feelings, feeling all the emotions.
I think that's where we started, Kenitra. I think that's where we started. When I think I remember one of our first sessions was feeling all the feels, if I'm not mistaken. That's what I think.
I don't be liking to feel the feelings.
I know. I think that I know. That's why I think that's where we started.
I'm better, but I still prefer. I prefer not to have to feel all the feelings. But
because you were going, and I'm like, gosh, with all that, I mean, have you stopped to feel? Like, no. And that's when the work started.
I did not start feeling till I started writing, till I sat down in my room by myself.
Yeah.
Started to write, because emotions and words are challenged to navigate simultaneously. It's hard to do. And I don't like to cry. And so if you start feeling your feelings, then you're gonna start crying, and then you talking, you crying. Y'all know that's cute. That's real cute. And, we gonna write. I'll write it out. So I recommend writing, like literally. I recommend, a starting point for writing.
Yeah.
I'm checking the comments. One of the sisters said deliverance. She said all deliverance might not come from a conference. That's good. It might come in your therapy. Yes. One of the sisters said she thought she was good for years until she started spiraling down and putting on the act that you're good just because you want to help others to be good. Yeah, no, we can't do that. We serve people better when we take off the mask, because what people want is to know that they're not the only one struggling.
And also, when they see these big personalities and these high producers going through something similar or feeling some of the feelings that they feel, it normalizes it. It normalizes it. And I think that's going to be a big part of getting people on couches, these folks coming forward and saying, I know y'all think I got it all together, I know I come out looking good all the time, However, I know my numbers always look good, and I know my kids, they always looking great, and my husband always sharp and everything, but when that person says, I'm not okay, and that's okay, and I have been on the couch, I think that's going to bring more folks to the couch.
Literally, it is giving people power to be human. We have not given ourselves. Let me say this real quick, because as people of color in America, we have not had permission to be weak, because it has not been safe. Our parents groomed us to be hard, to be tough, to push through. Don't show no emotions, because people will take advantage of you. They will target you. They will take your life from you. You can't show that you are weak. So we have not given ourselves permission to be human beings. So we bottle all this stuff. We bottle it up on the inside. And then it's not about somebody outside of us coming for us. It's about us self-destruction from the inside out.
And when that sister wrote in the comments about the spiraling, that's what that leads to. And before you know it, you're completely out of control. Everything's kind of crumbling because you kind of didn't pay attention to the small cracks that were happening. You were just kind of patching the cracks as you go along, But what happens when you patch a crack? it's going to get bigger, and it's going to lead to other cracks.
So
Stop
spread
patching the cracks. Yeah, stop patching the cracks. We need to be on these sofas, because that's going to lead us to our healing, so we can help others do the same thing.
Comment said Leah in Jersey said, feel, deal, then heal.
We got to tweet that one.
Put it on the shirt, sis. Y'all see my shirt? Grace for this. Y'all see me out here? Y'all see me out here?
Yeah, tweet it or put it on the shirt. That's a good one. That's a good one.
We have these things. We have our journeys and our experiences. And this is the time where we have to be transparent. We need to say what it's been, because it's really helping healing, you know, for somebody else. And I want to touch on I feel like I'm saying her name, Chelsea. Chelsea? It was Chesley.
I think it's Chesley.
Chesley.
I think, I don't know. I know exactly who you're talking about. She was beautiful, beauty queen.
Yes, the young lady who was the beauty queen was in not marketing, but she was in what do you call the people who do on the microphone? Journalism. She was a journalist too. And so, you know, she lost her life. She was dealing with depression. She had mental health challenges. And I want to touch on that, because I will say that my friends was keeping a close eye on me, because I am one of those high functioning, I'm not going to take no breaks, I'm good type of people. And going through grief, and then people saying, oh, well, she doing good, she doing that. No, she's high functioning. She's going to do that anyway. Like, that is normal. But that, and what that presents as, you know, mental health challenges, because like we said, you don't give yourself permission to feel certain things. And so then you start to kind of self-destruct in your mind. There are these different thought processes that you don't want to engage or entertain or work through. And so it just causes turmoil in your mind. And that stuff can be oppressive. It can be depressing. It can be overwhelming, despite the fact that you're still functioning and producing.
Very, very true. And you know, it's a good thing your village was there. They had eyes on. I knew they would. You have a strong village, and I've often encouraged you to use your village, you know. But yeah, it's good that they were there. I was very, very hurt to see that young lady took her life in that way, because she's one of those where you look at her, you think she has everything. You know, she's beautiful. She has she's very accomplished, physical beauty, a lot of accolades, good family and all. Educated, just had everything, and had, you know, been on several stages and platforms. And to even think that she was dealing with anything was unbelievable. But for her to take her life in that way, it just left a gaping hole. Not only with her family, but, you know, for those of us that adored her. So it's sad, but yes, prime example of, you know, you just never know what folks are going through, and you've got to be able to reach out and be in a safe place to express yourself. And yeah, that was a hard one.
Yeah. A question in the comments that says, when you're going through grief, how do you handle and get rid of the anger so that you can heal? Like, I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna let the professional answer that, but I'm gonna tell you about me. I didn't realize I was angry. Like, I don't think at this moment I can identify maybe one time, maybe two times that I saw myself being angry. But otherwise I could not identify it. But I knew that the potential of it was there. So just because I understood that there were, you know, there are different stages of grieving that you can go through, that was a challenge for me, because I'm usually just like, nah, I'm straight, I'm good, I'm gonna push through. But we can be angry, depending on how you lose that loved one. You know, these scenarios are challenging, and then sometimes you just angry at the fact that they had to leave. You know, you just it wasn't the plan. It wasn't.
And we don't like change. You know, we as humans and just people in general, we don't like change. We like things to kind of go along. We like things familiar. You know, we like know what's around the corner if we can. So any type of change can spark anger. But, you know, the question was, how do you deal with anger so you can heal? I
Mhm.
think that the first way to start dealing with it is acknowledging it and putting your finger on what is the thing that's making you the most angry about this situation. Once you can put your finger on that and just process around that, then you have something that you can deal with, and you can kind of plan for how to break this thing down, look at it, work in the areas that you need to work on pertaining to that particular anger issue. You just have to map it out and work it out. But I think it starts with acknowledging it and putting your finger on what exactly your anger stems from. And I know it stems from the loss in general, but I think we've talked about in session, Kenitra, about, the layers of it. You've got to be able to pull back those layers of it or unpack the centralized point of the anger that you're experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first step. A therapist can help you with that.
And there's so many things that can be angering. Like you can be mad at God. You can be mad at the other people involved of the loss that you're experiencing. You can be mad that it's not meeting your expectation. You can be mad that I have to even go through this. I'm mad my family has to go through this. I'm mad. There's so many different things that can introduce anger. So, be careful to not think that because you got past one hurdle, that you're good. Because, and I say this in the blog, it's ripples and waves. Whenever the transition happens, period, any type of transition can introduce grief into your life, whether it is the loss of a loved one, whether it is your kids changing schools, the parents get a divorce, being picked on by their friends at school, the money in your household changes and you can't get the stuff you used to getting. Anything that interrupts whatever your normal is causing transitions. And when like a rock hits a body of water, you see them waves, they come from the point of impact and it affects everything around it. So the ripples and the waves are going to come, but don't be so brilliant to think that it's going to come one way and after that it's going to be good. It's coming back. It's going to circle back.
Yeah. And actually, I said those things, and that's a good point you made too. I said those things about, unpacking and breaking down and mapping and planning for the anger. That's true in all the stages that you're going to go through, just making sure that you're pinpointing that one thing and unpacking that one thing, trying to figure out the root cause of it so you can address that. Try not to address just the symptoms of it. You have to really get down to the root core cause of it. Yes, you can do some of that work on your own, but a good therapist can certainly help you unpack those things, because the therapist should be asking certain questions that you hadn't thought of about it. And that helps to add clarification to the process too.
That's good. So let's do this. Let's talk, because we're referencing a therapist. Where should they start looking for a therapist?
So I always refer people to Psychology Today. Okay. That's a good start. Well, let me back up. First, a Google search. Anybody can do that. That's my jam for searching for anything. You can go to Google and type in therapist in my area. That's first. Psychology Today is second. You put in, I think, your zip code, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't been on in a while, but yeah, you put in your zip code or what area you're looking in, and therapists in your area should come up. You could also call your insurance company, if I'm not mistaken. They could give you a list of therapists near you that accepts your insurance. There's a lot of different ways, but I would try those 3 things that I listed first. And also, word of mouth is good too.
I was just gonna say word of mouth, because everybody they was like, you need to talk to Heather.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Ask your family members and friends. Do y'all know anybody? I mean, if you're comfortable letting people know that you're looking for a therapist, ask, because somebody might be like, darn, I do know a great therapist. She helped me through this or that. And I always like word of mouth for whatever I'm looking for. I mean, they have the reviews and things on Yelp and Google and things like that. I don't really trust those too much though, because if somebody don't give you exactly what you want, you're gonna give them a bad review. That doesn't mean they're horrible. That just means that their experience with you was bad. So I don't know. I don't really thoroughly trust the reviews online, but if your cousin or your friend or somebody that you know and trust and they're a credible person says, hey, this therapist is great, I would take their word before I take Google or any other reviews that I see online.
Mm-hmm. That's a good. One of my brothers is licensed, was it LMSW licensed
Master social worker.
Mm-hmm. And when Jay passed, he reached out to me and he recommended it's like a Black therapy for Black girls. I think there's a couple of different places that are kind of like hubs for people of color. They have sites where if you're looking for therapy for trauma, sexual trauma as a woman, like there are people who are specialists in therapy. Can you list out some of the different types of specialists in therapy?
Can you list out?
Yeah,
you mean like what are some of the areas that so there's grief, there is trauma, of course, sexual abuse, depression. The list could really go on and on and on. I mean, there's an extensive list of different type of mental health challenges that a therapist could help with. Let's see. You put me on the spot. I don't have a list in front of me, but
substance abuse.
What's that?
Substance abuse.
Yes, exactly right. There's long list of areas that people can specialize and get certifications in. Trauma is one. That's one that I'm interested in possibly certifying in the future. There's just an extensive list of different things that a therapist could help you with. And actually, when you go on Psychology Today, typically when people are listed on there, they have their areas of interest and their specialties listed on their page, their bio. So if you are going specifically for assistance with PTSD or depression, that's something that you can look for in their list. And it's just a wide variety of mental health areas that therapists could specialize in.
That's good. So if you know where you want to start off, even though you might not end up there, because we think, oh, this is what's wrong with me, and then you start talking to us, they say, okay, that is just some of the fruit on the tree. This whole limb over here.
It's funny that you say that, because that's what happened to me the first time I went. I went for one thing, and I ended up staying for months and months working on this, and this. And I'm like, dang, really? I can't. That's just like when you go to Walmart or something. You go in for like a pair of pliers or something. You come out with a grocery cart full of stuff.
With a wardrobe and some groceries and some snacks and some party clothes and a new volleyball.
Right. That's kind of how it was for me the first time I went. But anyway, just be prepared for that.
Yeah, that's good. I'm looking at the comments. Emmanuel asked a loaded question. I'm not sure what that question is, so I might email you that question and see if maybe you can email a response to it, because I see it, but I'm not quite sure what they're asking as it relates to that pivot. But we'll definitely get that question answered. Thank you for that question too. All right, so I think we're doing good. I want to make a reference. I guess two references. Y'all, do not feel bad because you are experiencing the emotions and the feelings of grief. You are human. It is normal. It would be more concerning if you weren't experiencing the emotions. To feel the emotions, to grieve, to be upset, to be angry, to be bargaining, to be asking questions is perfectly normal. And I believe that if you ask the questions, God will answer your questions for sure. You got to be open to what he's going to say, even if it doesn't meet your expectation. So
he's gonna put the right people in your path too. I agree with that.
100%. It's okay to ask for help and to get that assistance. And if it's just starting off with a Google search, that's that. If you read the blog and you follow this video and you want to know more, send us a message. We can do what we can do, or we can at least direct you. If we can at least be a hook that can dispatch you to places that can help you with your specific need, then I would love to be able to be a resource. I'll also say that Heather wrote a really amazing article when her grief journey kind of reached a peak when her father passed. And she shared that article with me, and it was a very good, very, 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 very good article. And it gives you pointers and tips on grief planning. You want to say a little bit about that? Or you want?
Yeah, go ahead. I can talk about that. Thank you for bringing that up, and I'm glad that it helped you because it was therapy. It was very therapeutic for me to write it, and with that article, I never set out to write or publish. I mean, that just was never my thing. But as that thing happened to me, I, like you, needed some type of healing, and I needed something. So I just started writing, and it just evolved into an article. And I said, well, darn, this thing came together nice. Let me see about, getting it published. And that's what happened. But it just basically is an article that talks about, when my father passed. And I was faced with, how the first year you're going to have so many firsts without your loved one. And this particular first was his first birthday. And we would always usually celebrate, go out to eat and, just kind of celebrate him. And this year, my anniversary with my husband fell on his birthday weekend. And so the article goes into a little more details, but I was at kind of like an impasse, like, what do I do? And what would he want me to do? And if I do go away as we had planned, what is that going to look like? So I'm the queen of planning. I feel like, you could see, there you go. We had that in common. I'm the queen of planning. I feel like you can plan for anything. So I had this great grand plan in my mind of what I was going to attempt to do to kind of jump in front of the grief. And it actually worked out. I surprised myself, all the more reason why I wanted to write it down. And so, Kenitra, if you could share that on one of your platforms or in the comments or something, that might help somebody. And it's not like a catch-all. It's not clinical at all. I don't want y'all to think that, this is some clinical piece that I put together. It's just basically an article of something that worked very well for me. And I used it with other holidays in that first year after he left us. So I hope that you all do take the time to read it and go through it. And I hope that it helps you. Because it was definitely therapeutic for me to write it.
100 found it. 110%. Having a plan. You can't plan your way out of things, but you can prepare yourself.
Yeah. And I like to go into things prepared when I can. I mean, sometimes you certainly cannot. When somebody passes, I mean, you're never prepared for that. I mean, although my dad, he had cancer, and so we knew it was coming at some point in time. But even going in knowing that, and even, at the time I was a hospice social worker. No. I had worked in hospice before. So I had experience with death and dying. I was a hospice social worker. So, that very much actually was a help for me, because I understood a lot of the language that the doctors were saying, and I could, I understood. I could help my mom understand. And, even in the end, I wasn't funny being around his body at that time when he passed. So I think that the hospice social work helped me with that. But, you're just never truly prepared for when the time actually comes. But with this article and with the actions that I listed out, you still might have a lot of big emotions around that time, but if you go in with a plan, it may help some. We ended up having a beautiful weekend, and the other holidays that came and significant times that came, when I used those steps, it made it a little easier. It's never easy. It's been probably six years, I think, 6 years, and it's still not easy. But the plan that I did follow, it continues to help me.
That's good. Thank you. So I did find, I keep it in my phone.
Oh.
So I dropped it in the comments.
Good.
And they did clarify this question. So it's 12:52. This is our last question, y'all. We're gonna wrap up, and y'all let us know if there was anything in particular that was really helpful. We would love to get your feedback. Some things that we said were helpful. Maybe if we can do, once a month huddle with Heather or something, and we get on and answer questions. If
I
y'all
like that.
Something like that, let us know in the comments. So the question that Emmanuel was asking is that when you're going through your grief process, what steps should you take when a friend shares with you her experience with, sounds like sexual trauma. Like if somebody shares with you that they experienced trauma sexually, how do you support that person when she's sharing that, intimate information with you?
That's an excellent question. Is that around the grief process, or is that a standalone question?
It seems like a standalone question. When you are going through your grief process, what steps should you take when a friend?
Okay, so you're grieving and somebody shares that they experienced some type of sexual trauma.
Mm-hmm.
How would we deal with that? That is a good question, because both of those processes are delicate processes, because you're in a delicate situation because you're experiencing grief, but at the same time, your friend felt comfortable enough to share with you that she has experienced some type of sexual trauma. That is a very, very interesting question. And I don't want to answer it on here because I have several questions behind that. I really do. I have several questions around it. I mean, I'd like to know what's the nature of the relationship, and what type of loss was it, and how fresh is the sexual trauma. It's just a lot of variables that I would like the answer to before I put a general answer out there. I do feel like, it is a way for each of you to get the support that you need from each other, but it still is very, very delicate. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, I just have a lot of different questions that I would have about that specific question before I gave like a confirmed answer.
Yeah, that's good.
So shoot that to me by email. Let me sit on that one for a minute, and I'll send a response back to that person. Thank you for asking that, though. That's a really interesting question, and I certainly would like to get you a clear answer, but I'd like some clarification.
Something that came to mind with that question is sometimes, you're talking to somebody and they want to share something with you that helps you feel seen, to say, well, I experienced this particular thing and it caused me to go through grief, blah, blah, blah. So you never know, like you said, you want to know more information. That person could have been sharing it to say, I understand what you're going through because I experienced grief related to this particular experience. So maybe I can relate to you here.
Right, but I'm gonna tell you something, and Kenitra, this might be a topic that we can kind of have another chat about. How people are a little bit inappropriate in grief. Now, I addressed some of that in my article too. Y'all will run across it in the article because, sometimes people mean well, but we can a lot of times be so inappropriate in the grief process, and we don't even know it, we've got to stop that. We've got to stop. So I'm gonna tell you something. I hate to put this out here. As soon as I heard that question, and this just might be my mind, I've had so many experiences with people and so many inappropriate type responses to grief. I just automatically felt like that was inappropriate to introduce on top of your grief. Mm-hmm. That's where my mind went. And I guess my mind went there because, like I said, I have so much experience with people being inappropriate around grief. So that's the first place my mind went to. But I wanted to not, well, I didn't, that's why I didn't want to say this, because I didn't want to have to get this explanation. But to me, depending on how it was, let me just say, we have to, if she meant well, that's fine. But sometimes people don't know what to say, so they just say anything just to have words coming out their mouth. And that's inappropriate. So we've got to stop that. We've got to put that on as another talk.
You know what? Yes, let's do that. Like how to support, tips for supporting someone else in their grief.
Yes, and tips on how to not be inappropriate.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But anyway, yeah, let's
Leah said
table
yes.
that
We can
question
do that one. All
because
right.
I
That'll
want to
be
get
the
some
next
more
one. We'll let y'all
information.
know. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Heather. You know, I love you super duper big. I'm
Oh, I love you
so,
too.
grateful. Heather is a byproduct of Gerald leaving. I would have never gotten Heather if Gerald had stayed.
And I'm
Right?
gonna tell you something. As I was thinking about going into this, because Kenitra, this talking on camera and this right here where we are, this space right here, this ain't my jam right here. I I didn't really think that this was a gift that he gave me. I'm just kind of doing the best I can here. So this wasn't my jam, but I certainly want to do this with you because I love you too. And as I was kind of preparing a little bit today to come into this space, it's funny. All I could think about was, darn, I wish I could have met him.
Oh,
And
yeah.
see, I'm getting a little teary now that I'm saying this out my mouth. Listening to you talk about him and seeing y'all's pictures and things online and just hearing about him from you, it makes me sad that I didn't get a chance to cross paths with Gerald. It makes me a little sad.
But you can trust this.
What's that?
I'm gonna make sure everybody know. I am a billboard type of person. And I honestly feel like that is one of my assignments. Of course, as a woman, as a human being who has a lot of life left to live, I know that I cannot focus solely on Gerald for the rest of my life. I have to live. However, we were very big on legacy and we were very big on leaving an impact. And there are so many ways that I'm excited about how his memory can live on by how things are strategically built and marketed and shared. So have it. So, and he was a gem. And so,
I believe that.
One of the things that I get so much joy out of sharing is because there was so much good stuff. And who doesn't want, God says that he's a good father and he gives good gifts. And Gerald was a good gift to me. And so even though he's not here, he has said, he has spoken, he has loved. And that is still, a part of what I experience on a regular basis. So I have got to give what has been given to me.
And I'm going to tell you this real quick and we're going to end. This is my last point. I think that, we spend so much time trying to figure out what tangible things we can do and create to honor our loved ones. People get tattoos and people, wear shirts and, people have parties and get-togethers on their birthdays and all that stuff. They have glamorous and elaborate tombstone, all those things, those are tangible things to honor the person that they love. I truly feel like one of the best ways that you can honor the person that you've lost is to live a life that they would be proud of. Not a life that they want you to have, because if you live your life making the decisions that somebody else would want for you, you're never going to be happy and satisfied, right? But if you live a beautiful, pure, good life, that is the truest way to honor your loved one. That's what I do for my daddy every day. That's what I try to do for him, and that's what helps me, put one foot in front of the other on the days that I don't want to. Knowing that the life that I have created, knowing that life, he'd be proud of me, that's what helps me with my healing too. So I want to share that before we got off today too.
That's big. That's big. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank y'all in the comments and in the audience too. Like I told y'all, this isn't my thing, but I'm glad that we have viewers. I'm glad we have viewers, and I hope that something in this space has been said that will help you and bless you. And I just encourage you to get the help and healing that you need, because it's out there. And that's all I have. Just glad to be in the space. Thank you.
Thank y'all so much for watching. Definitely put more questions in the comments. I see them coming in, so we will use this as our record to come back. Shout out to Heather for stretching stretching out here and joining us on this platform. I'm super excited to continue to have these conversations. I want us to be well, because I know that if I had stayed where I was, I would not have been well. So I want the same thing, you know, for you guys. So I'll close by saying this month has been about grace for this. And so, Mama, I made it. Look, I made it through the month of May. It's been a big month, lots of emotions and roller coasters and everything, but I'm grateful for it. And my encouragement to you guys is that whatever your journey is, whatever your loss is, whatever the mountain is you're going up, don't despise it, because you have been graced to do that thing. And God's intent is to make sure that it is a blessing to somebody else. Your story is more than just for you. So remember, we serve a big God who gives us big purpose. So every day, show big love. We love y'all big. Signing out, Kenitra Moselle and Heather Armstrong.
Thank y'all.